And the first one that I hear is protein is a scam. And I feel like this is something some vegans have. They kind of feel a little contrarian, if you will, and they think there's like big protein out there, and the literature and the research is some sort of just, I don't know. It's almost like a scam. I don't like it's hard for me to say because I don't really understand it. Like the vast majority of the scientific literature is pretty clear that more protein is probably better, and you're probably going to benefit from intentionally taking in extra protein besides just what you get from whole food plant-based sources. And uh, the thing about this is, especially as vegans, there's a myth amongst some vegans that again, they find it hard to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, plant-based protein might not be quite as good effective for you at like muscle protein synthesis as protein from flesh, from whey protein. Now, I don't think that's necessarily making plant-based protein not as good. It's just not as good at that one thing. And so protein is probably good for you. It's not a scam. And you might need a little more plant-based protein to make it up. Now, this is for like extraordinary conditions where people that are doing a lot of training, or especially like vegan bodybuilders, um, they they probably take in a little more protein intentionally than they might if they weren't vegan. Now, I think that's okay. And another myth or misconception that I hear a lot, and I recently posted about protein on my Facebook page, and this of course came up, where somebody will always comment, "Oh, I've been vegan for 15 years. I've never supplemented with protein, and I'm fine." And yeah, you are, and you're doing great, and that's awesome. Could you have done a little better with a little extra protein? Maybe. I would say probably. I would say adequately fueling, adequately recovering is almost always going to benefit somebody. And, just because you felt fine doing what you've been doing doesn't mean improving upon that would not have been a benefit from you. And so it's like many people, they feel like when they go out and under fuel their long runs, they think they're feeling fine. But I have my clients start fueling more and they feel better. And it's always worth trying. And so, protein's not a scam. Um, you probably will benefit from more protein. Another big myth, and this is again something that somebody said on my Facebook page, is it's protein's bad for your kidneys. That's simply not true. If you have healthy, functioning, well-functioning kidneys, you can take as much protein in as you can eat, and you will not have any kidney problems. Um, some truths behind protein are that kind of what I alluded to. Yes, you probably need more plant-based protein to make up some of those amino acids that you're not getting by not eating, whey protein or not eating meat. Now, the good thing is that the amount of extra protein you need is not that much. It's like 1 to 10% more protein in a day or in a week or whatever. It's not that much extra protein. Yeah, it's an extra half scoop of protein powder. And for most people out there, that is not going to matter. If you're a regular person training for a marathon and you take in 100 grams of protein, you didn't take in 110, it's fine. But that's better than taking in 60 grams of protein. And When I say that I believe that plant-based protein still is better than whey protein, than animal-based protein, because I'm an ethical vegan. And my protein, doesn't come from the dairy industry, which is, I grew up in the dairy industry, and I don't support that. Now, I do, agree that plant-based protein probably isn't as effective as animal-based protein for certain things, like getting those essential amino acids. Yes, pea protein is an essential amino acid, but it might not be as good for, like I said, muscle protein synthesis as whey protein. I think that's okay. In my opinion, as an ethical vegan, plant-based protein is still the better option. Now, how much protein do we need? How much protein is generally accepted by the literature as an appropriate amount? And the easy way is 1.5 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or about 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So I like to use just 100 grams of protein. 100 grams of protein a day will cover the bases for most people. I think maybe Matthew's doing he pulled out his calculator.
I
Is that what
did.
you? Yeah. And so, if you're not a very light person or a very heavy person, if you're in that like 150 to 175 pound range, getting in 100 to 125 grams of protein is a pretty good range. Now, the fun part, how do we do that? And how does it not become a pain in the ass to get that much protein in? So I've got food and stuff, a few things laid out here on my desk. And so
Can't
a
see
few,
them.
what's that, Matthew?
They're not in camera.
No, not yet. But
Uh,
um, a few,
Hypothetically.
yeah. So a few things that came to mind is, how do I get my protein in and it not be just a giant pain in the butt? One thing is I almost always have a block of tofu pressing in the fridge. So, and I just prefer it pressed. So I can almost always pull some tofu out and cook it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll press 2 blocks of tofu and I'll just like bake them in the oven, and then I'll throw them in a Ziploc or a stasher bag, and I'll throw that in the fridge. And I can just like grab a quarter or a third a block of protein that I've cut into strips. I'll often marinate it in, I'll put down a reusable baking sheet. And so it kind of creates a little bit of a bowl almost on top of the baking pan. And I'll lay out the strips of tofu and I'll just squirt on a little bit of water, a little bit of Bragg's aminos, a little bit of liquid smoke, and it'll marinate and soak that up as it's baking. And I get it nice and crispy. And so that's often just in the fridge. And I can grab a third of a block of tofu and just eat it. And Quincy, my 3-year-old, loves to eat that stuff. He'll just eat a quarter of a block of tofu. And so always having tofu pressing. Food prepping good, high quality plant based meals with protein in it is another easy thing. So, those blocks of tofu, I might bake up some veggies on a different baking sheet when I bake up the tofu, and I can make some wraps, and I can make 4 wraps easy. Or I will make blocks or loaves, I guess, of seitan, and I'm making like they're probably this big, and I'll make 3 or 4 loaves of them and freeze 3 of them and have a loaf. And my wife today, she food prepped probably a dozen like breakfast, like McMuffin type breakfast sandwiches, and she had a slice of seitan in each one that I made 2 or 3 weeks ago. And again, that plus the tofu in that sandwich, that's a nice high protein breakfast that will take 60 seconds for her to have tomorrow morning, for example. So food prepping those meals that have protein, seitan in them is another great option. Um, Soy curls. This, yeah, I I have. I bought a box of soy curls. It was like the box was enormous, like you buy from a restaurant. And there, I wish I don't have the calorie info, but super high in protein. You know, you can make this week we'll probably make a like a beef broccoli type slow cooker thing. And again, like straight up protein and food prepping enough. And actually, I'm traveling this week as well. I'm going to make epic vegan jerky out of this. And so all it is you just Google epic vegan jerky recipe. You'll find it. It's soy curls soaked with Bragg's, with different spices and stuff, and then baked. And gosh, that is super tasty. So I'm going to make some of that for my travel days later this week. Something new I bought from Amazon, and I cannot believe this. The biggest jug of protein powder I've ever seen. I didn't realize. All I did was I looked for the cheapest per ounce or whatever of protein, and it's a 7-pound giant container of pea protein, and this was $49. So
That's
great.
a lot of peas.
It's a lot of peas, and it's the most protein per dollar of any protein powder I could find on Amazon. And a scoop of this is 30 grams of protein. And so what I'm doing is I have 2, maybe 3 scoops of this daily. 2 scoops of it is 60 grams of protein. That's what some people probably get just by not trying with their protein. And so I'm easily getting twice the amount of protein that I would take in with that. And it's not tasty. I just put it in, I take creatine with one of the shakes daily. I just put that in a protein shaker bottle and I just down it. It tastes like chalk or maybe, lightly flavored dirt, but well, it's whatever. And so I do that. And I do that to kind of often I'll have a protein shake to bridge the gap between meals to reduce my snacking. And the last thing is something I have recently discovered this year. I can't believe I don't understand how this has escaped my radar for the last 15 years, but it's high protein cereal. Have you ever seen this, Matthew?
New to me.
It's basically, this one is first ingredient, soy protein. This one right here, this one's soy protein as well. There are ones I think that are made of wheat gluten, and there are some that are made of pea protein. But this is Eat Your Mouth Off is one. This is Special K. So there are some from the more traditional cereal companies and some from kind of the smaller companies. But this is kind of like there's a Fruity Pebble one. This is the chocolate version of it, I guess. I can't remember what it's called. And then these are kind of similar puffs. There are also some that are shaped from Special K, shaped like the crisps. I don't know what they're called. They're flatter. And I will eat these on like in a parfait, something like that. And the beauty about these is almost all of them are 0 to very small amount of added sugar. And so added sugar 0, added sugar 0. And so they're great. They are obviously probably I would consider these an ultra processed food, but I consider them closer to a protein shake. It's pea protein, it's soy protein. That's what it is. It's just in a puff form. So I've posted about these, and people kind of get their vegan undies in a little bit of a bundle sometimes because it's like, oh, it's ultra processed. I'm like, yeah, but so is the bread you're eating. Okay. And so I look at this, I look at the protein powder, their meals, like that's pea protein blended up basically. This is the same thing in a puff form. And it's crazy. It is 18 grams of protein per cup, which is insane. And so I will have a bowl of this with 2 cups of this, and I'll put some vegan yogurt on top. I'll put a banana sliced up on top, and I will sprinkle on some peanut powder, which is my new favorite thing. Like peanut powder on this with milk. That's like you're eating a bowl of Reese's, basically. It's so good. And so that bowl has no added sugar, maybe a little tiny bit in the yogurt, but we buy a yogurt without any, it's maybe 1 gram of added sugar in it. 45 to 50 grams of protein in a bowl, in a parfait, basically, which is crazy. And so um, they're not cheap. I actually buy them at the discount overstock store. They're probably expired. I don't know. I don't even care, but because they're fine. But I don't know if I would buy them if they were regularly priced. But I buy them at $2 a box, and they're awesome. I love them. So that's all I put together. I journaled a little bit. I wrote down, took some notes on what I wanted to talk about, and that pretty much covered it. So Matthew or Tiffany, I think you're listening in. If you have any thoughts, comments on this, happy to chat about them.
I got a comment.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I got this armchair theory that what's going on when people say, oh, so you're vegetarian or vegan, what do you do for protein? And I get the impression that no answer will satisfy them, because protein means meat and meat means protein, and they're equivalent. So when people when not people who haven't put much thought into it um hear about a vegan and they say, oh no, what about your protein? They're really just saying, oh no, what about your meat? And it's like,
Yep.
yeah, the whole point is not to eat the meat, and that protein has two meanings.
Yeah.
For some people it means animal products, beef and steak, and that's it. And then nutritionists and everybody else has at least two meanings. One is like the particular molecule, and sometimes it means beef and steak. Um, but yeah, that's my armchair theory. The as far as the 100 grams thing, I have no idea how many grams of protein I eat in a day. I guess maybe using 50 as a naive guess about what my unassisted protein intake would be. Might be a reasonable guess, but I really don't know. I'd have to do math, and I'm reluctant to measure things out.
Yeah, sometimes what I'll do if I'm kind of having to do a protein check on myself is I'll just look at what I'm having, and I'll just track the protein for a few days, and I actually just write it on my hand, where I'm not, I might just like look at the labels like, oh, it's some Dave's Killer bread. Those are 6 or 7 grams of protein per slice. Like that's a significant, that's a sandwich. If you're having a PB&J, there's 20 grams of protein with the 2 slices of bread and the peanut butter. And so that's a decent amount of protein just there. So I'll sometimes just look at the labels of what I'm eating and like roughly calculate it out. But, if somebody is the one time when somebody, there maybe 2 times when somebody is probably taking in enough protein without really trying, is if they're not exercising. Like, yeah, you can get away with 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram, which is not much. Like, that's fine. Or if you're training a lot and you're eating enough primarily whole foods where you're not losing weight, you're then probably getting enough protein just because you're eating 4,000 calories a day or something like that. But for most people who they're maybe running 3 to 6 miles 3 to 6 times a week, you don't need that many calories, and it can come from mostly vegetables to cover your bases. And yeah, you would probably benefit from a little more protein in your diet. So that's my soapbox. uh, and I hope I'll send out the replay, but I hope that was beneficial. Hope you came away with one or two new ideas, something to try. Matthew seemed curious about this.
Yeah, I gotta look up the cereal and try. I hadn't thought of high protein breads. I've been really liking the idea of eating as much bread as I can for my long distance running. Because so far it seems to work. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I love bread. I'm a gluten powered runner. I eat seitan. I think for people that are active and doing things, bread's probably not a problem for most people. Tiffany came off mute. Your camera's not on, but you might be prefer that, Tiffany.
Yeah, I was messing around with it. So, I guess one thing I can't eat or much gluten, and so
Mhm.
sacha inchi seeds I found have been really helpful, and um,
Mm,
hemp hearts
yes.
on everything. So I think during my training last year, I did track, and I was about 130, 150 easily.
Mm,
Per day. So it's definitely doable. I think just everything I was consuming, I tried to have the focus of protein, but it's always good to learn about different sources. And um, so, yeah, when
yeah,
you're looking for them, you find a lot of foods that you didn't even know about it, like brined lupini beans.
yeah. I've
Definitely been adding those in. There's a lupini pasta that's really good. And it's a gluten-free alternative. So, and it's like 15 grams of protein for 130 calorie serving. So
mhm,
yeah, it's pretty good.
cool. Um, I'm not familiar with Sacha Inchi seeds. I'm pulling them up right now. The
It's
hemp though,
also,
hemp is like 10 grams of
yeah,
um, 10 grams of protein for 2 tablespoons, I
hmm
think.
or three
Me?
tablespoons.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so not bad at all for sure. Like drop that in a smoothie, for example. Um, tell me about Sacha Inchi
So it's
seeds.
also called the Incan peanut. So I get them. Where do I get them from? I have to look it up. They are like a.
Just Google
Let me
searching them. Yeah, they
Yeah,
look like little peanuts, basically.
they are, and I get them. The brand I There it is, Herbazest.
Okay, I found
And
them.
so I get them directly from Herbazest, and you can buy them in bulk. So it's 2 tablespoons for 9 grams, but just as far as they're
Oh,
also
nice.
a carb, zero net carb. So just another option.
Cool. Thank you. I learned something new today. Awesome. Appreciate that.
And if you guys haven't tried those Aloha bars, they're 15 grams and they are so tasty. The peanut butter cup is like a candy bar and it's low sugar.
How do you spell that?
Aloha, Aloha. Yeah, they have all sorts of flavors that are quite
Okay,
good.
I've seen these around. Um, I have some of the no cow bars.
Okay.
Not good. Don't buy them.
I,
Uh, I was so disappointed because the box, it's like, of course, like the packaging, it's like here's a picture of a Reese's, but and then you open up the thing and
it's
it's
not.
not even close. And
No.
you bite it, and it's even further off than what your expectations were. I actually, for my trip coming up, I did actually go and just buy some just so I could have some no sugar added protein bars. Um, and I'll eat them, but uh, they're not all that great. But I've
You
seen them.
won't.
I don't eat them because I enjoy the flavor.
I think the Aloha, they range from 3 to 5 grams.
That's not.
So there are flavors that are lower, but they're definitely they're quite good. And
Yeah. Okay. Because it's first ingredient peanut, and then tapioca fiber, and then a protein blend. So
mhm,
yeah, because I don't eat anything with added sugar in the first three ingredients. So that cuts
mhm.
out like the Cliff Builders, um, which are super tasty. 20 grams of rice protein, I think, but like the second ingredient, maybe first, is brown rice syrup. And that's just not my jam.
Yeah,
But these
I
look
can't
good.
do sugar.
Yeah, I don't do much of it, like added sugar into things. So that cuts out like Cliff bars, stuff like that. But these look good. I'll keep my eye out for Aloha bars too. Right on. Anything else on your mind, you two?
I was gonna mention I tried hemp seeds as a cheese alternate on pizzas. I only tried it once, but the one time I tried it, it was good
Oh,
because it was high fat, high protein, and um yeah, no chance of getting it melt. But it was like, what else did we put
Mm.
on there? We put the other obvious stuff like nutritional yeast and stuff, and hemp seeds, and seems like there was some third thing we put on there.
Are you like sprinkling it, or
Yeah, like sprinkle it on the top. So
yeah, what
the
I
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a mason jar on our shelf right now, and it's nutritional yeast, hemp seeds, garlic salt, uh, maybe some onion powder, and we sprinkle that on salads, pizza, all that stuff.
Yep.
which I do believe the hemp hearts are supposed to go in the fridge or should just as far as the oil. I don't know if that's
That's a
true or
good
not.
point. It might
And then
be.
I'll
We
and
probably we
I'll
probably
and I
eat enough that it doesn't matter.
yeah, that's true. I also read, and I don't know if it's true though, that trying to avoid the cooking of the hemp hearts because it does something to the fat. I've only found one article and I haven't really been able to fact check it. It wasn't really so I've been trying to limit it because I would throw it
Mhm.
in most baked. Just I
Okay. Yeah,
because you can all
I don't think I've
have you
really
heard
cooked it.
anything?
I don't think I've
Okay,
really cooked hemp. We usually just sprinkle it on things or put it in
sure.
smoothies
Okay,
and stuff.
okay.
But like, yeah, baking it, I, I would wonder if maybe there's a difference between like cooking it like on a stovetop, if you would do that for some reason, versus baking. I'm not sure.
Sure. The other thing with the
Uh,
sacha inchi is there is a sacha inchi powder, so it is actually good,
Mm.
useful as for baking and stuff, and pretty high
Okay.
protein.
Yeah, I've been into pea powder lately.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, I'm off the top of my head, maybe 5 grams of protein per 2 tablespoons of it. Um, and we made banana ice cream last night, and I put that in there, and just adds a little bit without adding in 500 calories.
Yeah.
But I might buy some Sacha Inchi. That looks like a nice option.
I got a weird piece of advice.
Yeah,
Um, watched too many hours of YouTube to learn
I know you
these
did.
crazy facts. If if you eat enough protein and if you go over your limit, then your body just breaks down the extra and you pee it out. So the optimal time to eat your surplus protein is the morning, and
Mm,
not dinner time.
mm,
And they actually did a study where people that ate their high protein, not like high meat, but like actual grams of protein meals in the evening were more likely to get up in the middle of the night to have to go to the bathroom.
Hmm.
interesting.
Makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, the that's a nice rule of thumb is, eating while you're still going to be active, so it doesn't go to your secretary butt, or your what are you, Matthew, a software engineer?
Yep.
You got a software engineer butt, from sitting all day. And so I actually sent some info to a few clients that found that simply not eating 3 hours before you go to bed will improve your sleep quality. Probably potentially to do something with waking. I know that's a big thing for me is I try not to drink too much because I will get up and pee 2 to 3 times a night. And just from drinking tea and just drinking at dinner. So I try not to do that so much because definitely there's a correlation for me between I'll wake up 2 to 3 times a night to pee, and that's not helping anything.
Oh, one piece of advice that runners would have a hard time following. There's this advice in the weightlifting rule. It's like you eat a bunch of protein, then go lift weights. And but if you're doing your long run, you're usually aiming to do your long run in the morning. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to eat a large breakfast of anything
Mhm.
before a long run. So yeah, I'll just have to get my yeah,
Yep.
I have to get
After
Yeah.
the
the
run,
protein some other time.
Yeah.
protein after the run
Yeah,
helps you
for
right there.
sure. Yeah. Few tofu breakfast burritos or something like that.
Tofu
Um,
brunch.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That's all that comes to mind right now. I appreciate you guys popping on here. I'll send out the replay. But yeah, have a good rest of your Monday and we'll chat later.
All right,
Yeah, this
take
was
care.
fun. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.